So in laying these rough areas out, we're going to use our polyline tool and our polygon tool for some of it. And she does a really nice job of introducing us to new techniques through this process. I mean, this could be a very sort of straightforward, draw it up and move on. But we're going to learn new ways of like creating shapes and overlapping them and then cutting off shapes from other shapes to make new shapes and merging shapes together to create a whole other shape and da-da-da-da. So it's kind of a nice thing for all of us to know and to see. And they're techniques, again, that you may find helpful in the future. So again, I just don't want to hear any questions like, wouldn't it be easier if we just, because yeah, it would, but you wouldn't learn these techniques. So yeah, no. Okay, so to start, we've got existing trees open, and let's go to the navigation window real quick. So, again, we all know where the classes live within the navigation palette. It's that first tab up at the top. We've been visiting this second tab over the past couple weeks. That is our layers tab. So go ahead and click on that guy.
It's under here. Tap that. Push that. It should pop up over there.
So, within the layers tab, we have a survey layer already set up. Second button. Next one. So the survey layer is the one that we set up previously when we started our house and existing trees and existing elements drawing. So all of these pieces, and just look at the screen when I do this, live on this layer. I can't turn that layer off because there's only one, so it wouldn't allow me to do that. But if I come in and I right click and create another layer, I'm just going to call it draft plan. So just watch me on this, and we'll step through this together.
I don't know.
Okay. So now I have a second layer called draft plan, and that's where I'm going to do all of our work tonight. Now that I have a second layer, though, I can have draft plan be the active layer, and now I can come down to survey, and that visibility acts just the way it does with classes. But again, classes are a sort of individual collection of elements, so all of your existing trees are on one class, all of your building walls are on one class. But for the survey layer, all of those classes with all of this information are organized in that one layer as well. So it's just another level of organization. So if I turn off the survey layer visibility, all of that work goes away visually. So that's kind of one of the power of layers.
So you just added that, and now, wow.
So again, we created that survey layer last week or maybe the week before. And then we did all of our work with that layer active. And again, some ways that people use it just to help you kind of wrap your head around layers a little bit, and we'll create another one tonight as well, so as we create more, you'll see the sort of the power of it. For landscape designers, if you think of having a planting plan layer, then all of your existing, you could sort of link all of your existing proposed classes for trees, shrubs, all that stuff, could be linked to that layer. So you might have a layer for planting plan, a layer for hardscape, a layer for grading, all of the sheets that you might create for a design. Architects use layers for floors very often. So if they want to work on the third floor, they'll turn all of them off except for the third floor layer. And what that does is that they'll have one outline of the building, but they could just turn each floor on and off as they wish as they work, which for some people makes a little more sense. Okay, so let's tonight all of us do the same thing I just did by going to the navigation design layers, or the navigation palette, and in that layers list, do a right click and select new. It's very similar to the process we stepped through to create a class, a new class. And when the new design layer window pops up, give it a name, call it draft plan.
We already have that.
I do, you don't. Did you do that?
I guess I must have.
I told you not to do that.
Oh.
Well, if you already have it, you're ahead. But if you have, if you've named it draft, draft plan, go ahead and click OK. And at this point, we could monkey with this stuff, but we're going to go ahead and save it, just leave it all alone.
You don't need to do like edit after any of those options that you had before.
Not particularly. If you don't see this window, that's okay, and that's how it is in the book, so that's fine. But if you do see this window, don't change anything, and go ahead and click OK. Okay, so now you have two layers, draft plan and survey. Go ahead and double click on draft plan, and then next to survey, click to the right of the eyeball under visibility, and you should see all of this survey information go away. And then if you click back on the column for the eyeballs to make it visible, you'll see it come back, which is good. But draft plan should be active because we're going to do all of our drawing there right now. There's one more sort of setting here that's important, and that is this little pull down menu under layer options. So right now, draft plan layer is set up to show and snap to other layers, so other items within other layers. So right now what that means is, even though I'm in the draft plan layer, I can still see the survey layer, and I can still snap to objects in the survey layer, which is going to be very helpful. But what it doesn't let me do is modify anything in it. So
That's good.
if I come in and I start clicking on these trees or on the house or any of that stuff, it's protected. If I wanted to modify that, I could go to that layer options and select show, snap, modify others. And then that will give me the power to actually select and move things in other layers. So it's a little bit of protection.
So you don't have to lock things off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's another way of kind of locking things in place. There are other options in here like gray and snap to others, which essentially grays out all of the other layers. So sometimes visually that's helpful when you're working, or even if you're printing something out, sometimes that's helpful. And of course you can always just say only show others, and then you'll see everything, but you won't be able to snap to it, which can be helpful if it's snapping to all these other items in the drawing. So we'll kind of step through that again this evening as we work through things. But for now, let's set the draft plan to show snap others. So we still see the survey, we can still snap to it, but we can't change it. Okay. Okay, real quick before we start drawing, let's jump into the classes, and we're going to turn a few things off just to make life easier. Let's go down and find the existing tree removal class. So if I go down, there's a folder in the classes called existing tree. There is a class within it called remove. We want to turn that off. And we'll
Go
do
down there.
existing tree
You have to go back to the
and then
first
remove.
one. This one here, yeah, that one, this one. That'll be it. Now go to existing trees.
Yeah.
And do that.
And then the just below that is the existing tree retain. We're not going to turn that off. We're just going to gray them out so that graphically they kind of blend in. So existing tree retain, we're graying. Then there is a roof main class. So if we scroll down to roof and then main, we're going to go to invisible. So turn that off.
Roof.
Roof main,
Roof main. Visible.
invisible. So
um,
just make the X next to it by clicking on the second column. And then you can go down to the survey classes, and there are three classes we're going to turn off here. The survey levels, tape line, and triangulation lines. And if you didn't get all of those, don't sweat it. It's not going to be the end of the world.
What was your first one again?
First one was existing tree remove, and we made it invisible.
saw something checked above it, but I'm not, it's just.
Okay, while we're still in the classes, go ahead and find draft shapes.
Under draft.
So it's the draft folder, shapes is the class. Double click on it to make it active. That's where we're going to do all of our drawing.
Grade.
Pardon?
He's asking about the third column is grade, retain
Right.
grade.
What are we
Oh,
looking at?
retain.
So it is the
Oh, got it.
draft shapes.
Okay, thank you, that's good. And do you want it gray too, or what?
We want to double click to make it active. All right?
Yeah.
Are we all there?
Yeah.
Okay. So just watch me for the next couple steps. We're going to.
Mine is gray.
I don't have that class. Is it it's draft shapes under?
Do you have a draft folder?
It's under doors, before it exists trees.
It's not under door either.
Roof main.
Below door. I have it.
I have a ceiling door.
These are
It's
off.
don't have
Here,
it.
these are off.
just turning.
Oh, you'll have to talk to him.
So.
Did you put it in the second one? Yeah. I have to talk to her because yours didn't turn on.
Maybe.
So, Maybe you a little wanted, bit. but you wanted this one over here under retain, remove retain. Gray. Retain should be gray, right? There, okay. But how come there's this color on this? My house is off, you can see the floor. My roof is off. Your roof didn't turn. Okay. But it looks like it should, right, because the roof.
View the example. Yes, this one was
Roof,
example.
I mean,
That's another layer.
Goody.
While we were creating this.
Hours later.
maybe when it was created, it wasn't put in the right column. Go to the object place, the object there, behind it. Right up high, right there.
I get it, but I'm
Right.
not doing it.
That has to be, I have to look it right.
I mean, I can move.
How do I know?
Which just one.
Does it say roof?
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
I look, even though she put that.
All my tens.
So the roof, yeah.
They look, so they look at me.
I'm just gonna donate them to some other trees.
Yeah, it's sometimes the leaves, it's definitely more given.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still.
When I try to do design, you know, I have to kind of like step back.
I guess it's in the wrong class. Is it in the wrong class?
Yeah. That and.
How long did it take you to get that good?
Well,
And then it does, you get the leaves a lot.
Your Vectorworks just crashed.
Yeah.
And we still.
Hardly do anything.
No, we just opened it up.
Especially when you said not to.
All right, bear with me for a second. We had a crash over here.
Otherwise, it gets very.